Tom Milligan stumbled out of the Galactic Transportation Authority's arrival lounge, clutching his luggage in one hand and a slip of paper bearing his itinerary in the other. The words on the paper might as well have been hieroglyphics for all the sense they made to him. Transit routing error was the only phrase that jumped out at him, and even that didn't explain why he was here in this dingy, run-down terminal on the edge of the galaxy. He joined a short queue of fellow travelers, all of whom seemed as bewildered as he was. Ahead of him, a harried-looking bureaucrat was attempting to mollify a blue-skinned, six-limbed being who was waving its appendages wildly as it shouted in a language Tom didn't understand. "Next!" the bureaucrat barked, not looking up from the data pad in front of him. Tom stepped forward, handing over his itinerary. The bureaucrat scanned it quickly, his expression growing more perplexed by the second. "Mr. Bradley, it appears you've been routed to the wrong dimension," he said, his voice dripping with bureaucratic indifference. Tom's jaw dropped. "The wrong dimension?" The bureaucrat nodded. "Yes, sir. You were supposed to go to Andromeda 6, but somehow you ended up here in, Epsilon 17. Tom's mind reeled. He had never even heard of Epsilon 17. "How do I get back to my own dimension?" he asked, trying to keep his voice level. The bureaucrat shrugged. "I'm afraid that's not possible, sir. The dimensional routing system is a complex." Tom's interruption was interrupted by a loud announcement booming from the arrival lounge's PA system. "Attention, travelers. Due to unforeseen circumstances, all dimensional transit has been suspended indefinitely. Please report to the Dimensional Reassignment Office for further instructions." Tom's eyes widened as chaos erupted around him. The bureaucrat vanished, leaving him to navigate this strange new world alone. As Tom struggled to make sense of the announcement, a gentle tap on his shoulder made him turn around. A diminutive, ageless woman with skin like polished marble and hair like silver mist smiled up at him. "Lost, dear traveler?" she asked, her voice like a soft breeze. Tom hesitated, unsure what to make of this sudden intrusion. But there was something calming about her presence, so he found himself explaining his situation. The woman listened intently, her eyes sparkling with a hint of amusement. When he finished, she nodded sympathetically. "You're in luck, Tom Milligan. I might be able to help you." Tom's wariness gave way to curiosity. "Who are you?" "I am Celestine, a facilitator. I know people who know people. Come with me." Without waiting for his response, Celestine glided across the lounge, her long, flowing gown shimmering like moonlight. Tom followed, his luggage bouncing behind him as they navigated through the chaos. They exited the lounge into a labyrinthine corridor, lined with flickering neon signs and whispering holographic advertisements. The air reeked of ozone and burnt coffee. Celestine led him through a maze of alleys, finally stopping at an unmarked door with a discreet plaque that read, "Interdimensional Expeditions Incorporated." A discreet chime preceded the doors sliding open, revealing a dimly lit room filled with rows of humming consoles and a lone, lanky figure hunched over a central console. "Ah, Celestine," the figure said without looking up. "Brought a new client, have you?" Tom's unease grew as Celestine introduced him to the figure, who called himself Raven. Raven's eyes, when they met Tom's, seemed to bore into his very soul. "What do you propose to do for me, exactly?" Tom asked, trying to keep his voice steady. Raven's gaze never wavered. "I can get you back to your own dimension, Tom Milligan. But it won't be easy, and it won't be cheap." Tom's grip on his luggage tightened as he weighed his options. He had no idea what kind of currency was used in Epsilon 17, or what kind of risks were involved in dealing with Raven. But what choice did he have? "Tell me more," Tom said, trying to sound decisive. Raven's long fingers danced across the console, calling up a holographic display that swirled with colorful diagrams and charts. "The dimensional routing system is a mess, Tom. A perfect storm of bureaucratic incompetence and quantum fluctuations. But I've developed a workaround." Celestine leaned in, her voice taking on a conspiratorial tone. "Raven's created a stabilized wormhole generator. It can bridge the gap between dimensions, but it requires a very specific catalyst. Tom's eyes narrowed. What kind of catalyst? Raven's gaze flicked to Celestine, who produced a small, ornate box from the folds of her gown. Inside, a glittering crystal nestled in a bed of black velvet. The crystal pulsed with an otherworldly energy, drawing Tom in like a moth to flame. "This is a Zenonite crystal," Celestine said, her voice full of reverence. "One of the rarest, most powerful energies in the multiverse. With it, we can stabilize the wormhole and send you back to Andromeda 6. Tom's mind reeled as he calculated the risks. But what choice did he have? He was stranded in a strange dimension, with no way to communicate with his own world. "How much?" Tom asked, steeling himself for the answer. Raven's smile was a thin, mirthless thing. "The Zenonite crystal is worth a small fortune, Tom. But for you, I'll make a special deal. 10,000 galactic credits, and you're back in Andromeda 6. Tom's jaw dropped. He didn't have a fraction of that amount, and he doubted his credit chits would be accepted in Epsilon 17. Celestine's gentle touch on his arm was a surprise. "Don't worry, Tom. We can work out a payment plan. You'll just need to do a small favor for us first." Tom's instincts screamed warning, but he was out of options. He nodded, sealing his fate. "What do you need me to do?" Celestine's smile was a work of art, conveying a sense of innocence and mischief simultaneously. "Oh, it's quite simple, really. We need someone to retrieve an item for us. A small, highly valuable artifact currently in the possession of a certain collector." Raven's eyes gleamed with intensity as he took over the explanation. "This collector, Marcus LaGraine, is a recluse who deals in rare, otherworldly artifacts. He's not amenable to reason, but he does have a weakness for rare, exotic spices." Tom's brow furrowed. "What's the artifact?" Celestine's eyes sparkled. "A neurosphere, a device capable of recording, storing, and replaying human memories with perfect fidelity. Imagine being able to relive your fondest memories in vivid detail, or learn from the experiences of others." Tom's imagination ran wild with the possibilities, but Raven's next words brought him back to reality. "LaGraine's compound is heavily guarded, and the collector himself is notoriously unpredictable." Tom's gut told him to walk away, but the prospect of getting back to Andromeda 6 and resuming his normal life kept him rooted to the spot. "I'll do it," he said finally, trying to sound confident. Celestine beamed, while Raven nodded, his eyes glinting with approval. "Excellent. We'll provide you with the necessary tools and guidance. And, of course, the payment for the neurosphere will more than cover the cost of your dimensional transit." As the two of them began discussing the finer points of the plan, Tom couldn't shake the feeling he was in way over his head. But what choice did he have? He was a stranger in a strange dimension, and this was the only way back home. With a deep breath, Tom nodded, committing to the plan. And with that, his fate was sealed. Celestine handed Tom a small, intricately carved box. "This contains the rare spice blend that will grant you an audience with LaGraine. Be careful, Tom. The collector has a fascination with the human psyche. He may try to extract more from you than just the spice." Tom's palms grew sweaty as he accepted the box. He felt like he was stepping into a nightmare, but he had no choice. Raven handed him a small, sleek device. "This is a Neuralink. It'll allow us to guide you through the compound security systems and keep tabs on your progress." As Tom pocketed the device, a cold sensation crept up his spine. He was being drawn deeper into a web of intrigue, and he wasn't sure he'd escape unscathed. Celestine's parting words sent a shiver down his spine. "Remember, Tom LaGraine's compound is a maze of mirrors and secrets. Trust no one, especially not yourself." With that, Tom set off into the Epsilon 17 night, the shadows of the city swallowing him whole. The dimly lit streets led him to the outskirts of the city, where a sleek, silver bullet of a car awaited, courtesy of Raven and Celestine. The drive to LaGraine's compound took Tom through a labyrinth of twisting tunnels and winding roads, the cityscape giving way to a forest of twisted, cybernetic trees that seemed to writhe and twist in the flickering moonlight. As the car halted before the compound's gates, Tom's heart raced with anticipation. He had never been one for adventure, but fate had other plans. With a deep breath, he stepped out into the night, the box of spices clutched tightly in his hand. The gates slid open with a hiss, revealing a maze of silver corridors and glittering mirrors that seemed to stretch on forever. Tom's footsteps echoed through the silence as he ventured deeper into the heart of LaGraine's labyrinth.